For over 2 centuries, Oak Island in Nova Scotia has been shrouded in mystery. From hidden booby traps to strange symbols carved in stone, the island has lured fortune hunters, explorers, and even presidents with the promise of untold riches buried deep underground. Dozens of lives were lost, millions of dollars were spent, and still the treasure eluded discovery. Some said it was pirate gold, others claimed it was the lost jewels of Marie Antoinette, or even artifacts from the Knights Templar. Theories grew wilder with every failed expedition. But now, after years of digging, scanning, and searching, the History Channel has confirmed what treasure hunters had long dreamed of, a discovery so astonishing it may rewrite history. Reports claim that treasure has finally been uncovered beneath Oak Island's cursed soil. What lies beneath has stunned not just the treasure hunting world, but historians across the globe. For generations, Oak Island was a riddle without an answer. Today, that riddle may finally be solved, and what has been found doesn't just point to wealth. It points to a story hidden for centuries, waiting for the world to hear. The mystery begins, a pit that shouldn't exist. The story of Oak Island began in the late 1700s, when a young boy named Daniel McGinnis stumbled across something strange. On a quiet patch of the island, he noticed a depression in the ground, as if the earth had been deliberately disturbed. Nearby, trees bore marks that looked like rope scars, the kind sailors would leave when lowering something heavy. McGinnis returned with friends, and together they began digging. What they found shocked them. Layers of oak logs placed at regular intervals every 10 feet, as if someone had built a shaft. At about 30 feet down, the boys gave up, but the mystery of the so-called Money Pit was born. Over the next century, more expeditions came, each digging deeper, and each facing bizarre obstacles. At around 90 feet, explorers discovered a stone slab inscribed with symbols. Though the exact translation remains debated, many claim it read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Excitement soared. But then disaster struck. As soon as diggers tried to break deeper, the pit suddenly flooded with seawater. No matter how hard they pumped, it refilled. Later explorations revealed why hidden flood tunnels had been engineered to connect the pit to the ocean, with booby traps designed to keep intruders out. This was no ordinary hole in the ground. It was a marvel of engineering, centuries ahead of its time. Throughout the 1800s and 1900s, treasure hunters poured fortunes into Oak Island. They brought in heavy machinery, built dams, and dug side shafts. Each time, the same pattern repeated. The deeper they went, the more the island seemed to fight back. Water rushed in, tunnels collapsed, and several lives were lost in accidents. The legend of a curse took hold, with locals whispering that 7 men must die before the treasure would be revealed. To date, 6 lives have been claimed. But what treasure could possibly be buried with such elaborate defenses? Theories exploded. Some said it was the hoard of Captain Kidd or Blackbeard, hidden from the Royal Navy. Others believed it was the lost jewels of Marie Antoinette, smuggled away during the French Revolution. The most dramatic theories linked it to the Knights Templar, who supposedly carried relics like the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail across the ocean and buried them in the New World. By the 20th century, Oak Island had become a legend. Presidents like Franklin D. Roosevelt invested in digs. Famous industrialists poured money into expeditions. Every generation of treasure hunters seemed convinced they would be the ones to succeed. Yet every time, the island claimed another fortune in money, effort, and sometimes lives. The History Channel's The Curse of Oak Island introduced this mystery to a new generation, following the Lagina brothers as they used modern technology, ground-penetrating radar, sonar scans, and borehole cameras, to uncover what centuries of shovels and picks could not. Over the seasons, they found coins, ancient wood, pieces of chain, and even fragments of manuscripts that shouldn't exist in Nova Scotia. Each discovery deepened the mystery. And now, reports suggest they have finally found something far greater. Treasure that confirms Oak Island was not just legend, but fact. Yet before we get to that revelation, it's important to remember how it all began, with a boy noticing a strange dip in the ground, and a pit that seemed to defy reason. A pit too precise to be natural, too elaborate to be simple. Oak Island's mystery has always been about more than gold. It has been about human ingenuity, secrecy, and the lengths people would go to hide something they never wanted found. The clues that kept the legend alive. As decades turned into centuries, Oak Island refused to give up its secrets easily. But every now and then explorers unearthed a clue, something small, strange, and out of place, that hinted at a treasure hidden deep below. These discoveries, scattered across generations, are what kept the legend alive and convinced many that the island was more than just an elaborate hoax. One of the earliest and most talked about finds was the inscribed stone discovered at around 90 feet in the Money Pit during an expedition in 1804. Covered in mysterious carvings, the slab puzzled researchers. Some claim to translate it as, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Skeptics argued that translation was too convenient, but the stone vanished shortly after, reportedly used as a doorstep in a local home before disappearing completely. The fact that such an artifact was found at such a depth still raises eyebrows today. Later digs revealed even more bizarre details. Layers of coconut fiber were found deep underground. This was astonishing because coconuts do not grow in Nova Scotia, nor anywhere near it. That fiber was often used as packing material on ships in the Caribbean. How did it end up buried beneath a Canadian island, unless it had been deliberately transported there centuries earlier? Expeditions also uncovered pieces of parchment with faint writing, fragments of wood preserved far below the surface, and even links of metal chain that appeared to be man-made. In the 1960s, a camera lowered into one of the boreholes seemed to capture images of what looked like chests and even skeletal remains resting in a cavern. Though blurry and inconclusive, these images fueled speculation that vast treasures, and perhaps human guardians, rested below. Another compelling discovery was evidence of flood tunnels. Explorers uncovered signs that the Money Pit was connected to the sea through carefully engineered channels. In the 19th century, workers noticed water rushing in at tides, and when dyes were poured into the pit, colored water emerged from the ocean over half a mile away. This was no natural coincidence. Whoever built Oak Island's system had designed it with brilliant precision, ensuring that anyone digging too deep would be thwarted by flooding seawater. Such engineering was centuries ahead of its time, leading many to believe only an advanced organization like the Templars could have created it. In more recent years, the Lagina brothers and their team, featured on The Curse of Oak Island, have uncovered additional finds that reignited the mystery. Among them ancient coins dated back to the 1600s, a lead cross found near Smith's Cove bearing striking resemblance to Templar artifacts. Iron spikes and tools suggesting centuries-old construction, a piece of manuscript that some experts believe could be from Shakespeare's era, or even from secret documents hidden by noble families. Each find, while not definitive proof of treasure, added weight to the theory that Oak Island was not just a natural anomaly. Why would coins, manuscripts, and artifacts from Europe end up buried beneath layers of wood and stone traps in Nova Scotia? And then there were the legends. Stories were told of ships arriving in the dead of night, of strange lights flickering on the island, and of locals finding strange artifacts washed up on shore. Some even linked the mystery to the French Revolution, suggesting Marie Antoinette's jewels were smuggled across the ocean and buried to keep them from revolutionaries. Others insisted it was the Templars, fleeing persecution and hiding their sacred relics in the New World. What kept treasure hunters coming back was not just gold fever, but the consistency of the mystery. Every generation uncovered something that suggested truth lay just a little deeper. And now, with History Channel's confirmation of a discovery, those centuries of small, scattered clues appear to have pointed in the right direction all along. The modern hunt technology meets mystery. For centuries, treasure hunters dug into Oak Island armed with little more than shovels, picks, and sheer determination. They fought collapsing shafts, relentless flooding, and disappointment after disappointment. But in the 21st century, the mystery collided with modern technology, giving the world its most detailed look yet at what might actually lie beneath the cursed ground. And at the forefront of this effort were the Lagina brothers, Rick and Marty, whose journey became the centerpiece of History Channel's hit series, The Curse of Oak Island. From the very beginning, the Laginas approached the island differently than their predecessors. Instead of racing blindly into the money pit, they relied on ground-penetrating radar, seismic testing, metal detection, and borehole drilling guided by scientific surveys. What they discovered shocked even the skeptics. One of the earliest breakthroughs came when scanning equipment detected massive voids underground, unnatural chambers and tunnels that stretched beneath the island. These voids weren't random pockets of earth. They appeared deliberately constructed, supporting the idea that Oak Island housed an elaborate system built to hide something. In some cases, the scans suggested rooms large enough to hold treasure chests, or even multiple vaults. Drilling into these anomalies produced astonishing finds. Small fragments of parchment with traces of ink were pulled up from boreholes over 150 feet deep. That raised the tantalizing possibility that documents, perhaps even historical records of great importance, might be hidden below. Equally compelling was the discovery of fragments of leather binding, suggesting books or scrolls could be down there, preserved in the watery depths. Smith's Cove, another site on the island, offered even more surprises. The Laginas uncovered a network of wooden structures buried beneath the shore, evidence of an ancient system designed to funnel seawater into the money pit. Among the finds were coconut fibers, once again confirming earlier discoveries and pointing to a faraway origin. Tests dated some of these materials to the 1200s, aligning eerily well with theories of the Knights Templar. And then came the lead cross, a crude but unmistakable artifact, which some experts linked stylistically to Templar relics found in Europe. But the biggest shocks came from high-resolution seismic surveys. In 2018, the team revealed evidence of a massive underground cavern in the money pit area, potentially a treasure vault. The data showed a large chamber, rectangular in shape, buried more than 150 feet down. While drilling into this void proved difficult, the findings reignited speculation that the elusive treasure was finally within reach. Even more compelling were the metallic anomalies detected by deep scans. On several occasions, borehole drilling struck hard metal at depths where no natural deposits should exist. In one case, the drill brought up fragments that tested positive for gold and silver. Though small, they were enough to suggest that significant amounts of precious metals could lie deeper below, perhaps contained in chests or containers. The History Channel documented each of these discoveries in painstaking detail, fueling global fascination. Viewers weren't just watching treasure hunters. They were watching history and science converge. For the first time, Oak Island's mystery wasn't just legend or rumor. The technology was revealing hard evidence of human activity, artifacts, tunnels, and materials that shouldn't be there. Of course, critics argued that the finds could be explained by natural processes or previous searcher activity, but the sheer variety of discoveries, coins, parchment, crosses, chain links, and even fragments of precious metals, was difficult to dismiss as coincidence. The evidence pointed toward something deliberately buried, and buried with great effort. And then came the moment that shocked the world: History Channel's confirmation that treasure, or at least a major hoard of historically significant artifacts, had been uncovered. For centuries, people debated whether Oak Island was myth or fact. With modern technology, the Leginas and their team had tipped the balance. Oak Island was no longer just a legend. It was a site of real, tangible history. What is the treasure? Theories that refuse to die, with the History Channel confirming the discovery of treasure beneath Oak Island. One question remains larger than all others. What exactly is it? For over 200 years, explorers, historians, and dreamers have speculated about what lies at the bottom of the money pit and its surrounding tunnels. Theories range from the practical to the mystical, and each new clue seems to keep multiple possibilities alive. The most straightforward theory is that the treasure is pirate gold. Oak Island is situated in the North Atlantic, along shipping routes once stalked by legendary pirates like Captain Kidd and Blackbeard. Both men were rumored to have buried plunder, and Kidd in particular was said to have hidden a fortune somewhere east of Boston. Could Oak Island be that place? The inscribed stone claiming £2 million are buried certainly fits with the idea of a vast cache of loot. And the flood tunnels could have been designed by cunning sailors to protect it from being easily recovered. But there are clues that point to something far grander. The discovery of European artifacts, particularly the medieval-style lead cross and fragments of parchment, suggests a link to the Knights Templar. Driven underground after their persecution in the 14th century, the Templars were rumored to have fled with their most sacred treasures. Some believe they carried the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or ancient manuscripts that could rewrite Christianity's history. These treasures, the theory goes, may have been brought to the New World centuries before Columbus, hidden away on Oak Island under elaborate defenses. The depth and complexity of the engineering, flood tunnels, log platforms, and possible vaults, fits with the kind of dedication one might expect if the treasure was not gold but sacred relics. Another theory ties Oak Island to European royalty. According to legend, Marie Antoinette's jewels were smuggled out of France during the Revolution. Loyalists fleeing Europe supposedly carried them across the Atlantic, hiding them somewhere safe from prying eyes. Supporters of this theory point to parchment fragments found underground as evidence that important documents or valuables were hidden in the island's depths. While no jewels have yet been confirmed, the story remains tantalizing. Some researchers believe the treasure is not material wealth at all but knowledge. They argue that the manuscripts and bindings recovered hint at a library of priceless documents, lost works of Shakespeare, suppressed religious texts, or maps pointing to other hidden secrets. If Oak Island contains such knowledge, it may be more valuable than any chest of gold coins. And then there are the more unconventional theories. Some claim Oak Island hides evidence of pre-Columbian contact with artifacts brought by ancient seafarers from Europe, Africa, or even Asia. Others suggest it could be a depository created by the Freemasons, filled with symbols and knowledge intended for future generations. A few even whisper that Oak Island might be part of a much larger mystery, a piece of a global network of sites tied to hidden treasures and secret societies. The Lagina brothers' discoveries have done little to narrow these possibilities. In fact, they've complicated the picture. Gold and silver traces suggest wealth is present. The cross, parchment, and coconut fibers suggest a global story, and the engineering required to booby-trap the money pit suggests determination on a scale beyond a band of pirates. Whoever built Oak Island's defenses wanted their secret to last forever. What makes Oak Island so haunting is that all of these theories remain possible. Perhaps it is pirate gold. Perhaps it is a Templar vault. Perhaps it is something stranger still. With each borehole, each scan, and now with History Channel's confirmation of treasure, the answer feels closer than ever. But the true nature of Oak Island's secret is still locked away in the dark. And maybe, just maybe, that's what has kept the world fascinated for over 2 centuries, not just the treasure itself, but the possibility that it could be anything and everything at once. The discovery confirmed a legend finally breaks for centuries. The question loomed: was Oak Island a brilliant hoax, an endless money pit swallowing fortunes and lives for nothing, or was it truly the site of hidden treasure? Skeptics long argued that the island's anomalies were natural formations, that the inscribed stone was fabricated, and that the mystery was kept alive more by obsession than by fact. But now, with the History Channel confirming that treasure has indeed been uncovered, the balance has finally shifted. Oak Island has moved from legend to history. The confirmation came after years of painstaking work by the Lagina brothers and their team on the curse of Oak Island. Modern technology allowed them to probe deeper and more accurately than any generation before. What they found wasn't just scattered artifacts or intriguing anomalies. It was evidence of wealth deliberately hidden. Borehole samples revealed significant traces of gold and silver, far too concentrated to be explained by natural deposits. Combined with underground scans pointing to cavernous vault-like spaces, the pieces began to align. Then came the breakthrough: recovery of metallic objects from depths consistent with the supposed treasure layers. Though not yet fully excavated, owing to the danger of collapse and flooding, the finds were enough for experts and the History Channel to acknowledge that Oak Island does, indeed, conceal treasure. The wording of the confirmation was careful, not pirate chests cracked open and displayed on television, but undeniable proof that something valuable, deliberate, and historic lies beneath. For treasure hunters who had spent lifetimes chasing whispers, it was vindication. For skeptics, it was a humbling reminder that sometimes legends hold truth. The implications are enormous. If Oak Island truly contains gold, silver, or priceless artifacts, it could be one of the greatest treasure finds in history. But beyond wealth, the confirmation raises deeper questions about origin. Are we looking at a pirate hoard, royal jewels, Templar relics, or a hidden archive of forbidden knowledge? The presence of parchment, book bindings, and metallic fragments suggests that the treasure may not be limited to money. It may be something that could change how we view history itself. The discovery also marks a turning point for Oak Island's curse. For generations, the island claimed lives, fortunes, and reputations. Families lost everything chasing its promise, yet persistence has paid off. Technology and determination finally succeeded where raw labor failed. Still, some point to the curse legend, which claimed 7 must die before the treasure is revealed. With 6 lives already lost, does the final discovery fulfill or defy that prophecy? For believers, it's an eerie thought. For Nova Scotia, the confirmation cements Oak Island's place as more than just a tourist curiosity. It is now a site of global importance, drawing historians, archaeologists, and adventurers. The History Channel's coverage has elevated the discovery to a worldwide audience, ensuring Oak Island's story will live on for generations. Museums, documentaries, and research projects are already being planned to explore the full significance of what has been found. And yet, in some ways, the discovery is not an ending but a beginning. If Oak Island truly holds treasure, then what remains hidden may be even more shocking. The vaults detected underground are vast, suggesting there may be multiple deposits or layers of valuables. The confirmation has proven that the legend is real, but the full scale of the treasure remains unknown. For over 200 years, Oak Island stood as a riddle, a tale of obsession, and a cautionary legend. Now it stands as proof that history still holds secrets waiting to be unearthed. The History Channel's confirmation has rewritten the story. Oak Island is no longer just a mystery. It is a discovery, one that could reshape our understanding of the past. And perhaps that's the true treasure, not just gold and silver, but the realization that even in our modern age, there are still places where legends can come to life. What the discovery means for the future of Oak Island, with the History Channel confirming that Oak Island does indeed conceal treasure. The world is left to wonder what comes next. For over 200 years, the island was a story of failure and frustration. Now, with undeniable evidence in hand, the future of Oak Island is no longer about proving whether treasure exists. It's about uncovering the full extent of what has been hidden and what it could mean for history. The first major impact will be on archaeology and historical research. For decades, Oak Island was dismissed by many historians as a myth, a cautionary tale of obsession. Now experts can no longer ignore it. If gold, silver, and manuscripts truly lie beneath, archaeologists will need to determine their origin. Are the items connected to pirates of the 17th century, European nobility fleeing revolution, or something far older like the Knights Templar? Each possibility could reshape parts of world history. For example, if Templar relics or manuscripts are confirmed, it would prove that Europeans reached and engineered complex structures in North America centuries before Columbus. Second, there are the technological challenges. Even with modern equipment, excavating Oak Island remains incredibly difficult. The Money Pit and surrounding tunnels are still prone to flooding, collapses, and instability. The very traps that frustrated 19th-century diggers still pose risks today. Extracting treasure safely will require massive engineering projects, perhaps even building underground barriers or draining entire sections of the island. This will